All right, boys and girls, this is Math Message 5-4, the main math lesson of the day. And today we're going to learn or to be able to recognize when and how to use helper facts to solve harder multiplication facts. You know, by the end of third grade, we need you to really have multiplication fluency and to know all of your multiplication facts. But you know, there's going to be times where you're going to come across a problem that you don't know right away. It might be a harder problem or one you just can't remember. And you can't just sit there and wait for the answer to appear out of thin air. You have to have a strategy for finding that answer. And so the helper fact strategy is one of those strategies that you can use to help you find the answer that you don't know to a multiplication problem. All right, boys and girls, I want you to have a whiteboard or a piece of paper handy, and I'm going to give you a problem to solve. So pause the video if you need to get ready. All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to record at least 2 different ways to solve 9 times 6. Okay, I want you to try to think of an efficient strategy to solve that problem. So go ahead and pause the video and come up with at least 2 different ways that you can solve 9 times 6. Go ahead. Okay, now ordinarily, if you were in class, we would be able to share out some strategies. And we can't do that if you're working from home right now. So let's just go, I'm going to kind of show you a couple of strategies that I know in the past boys and girls have come up with. Okay, one of the strategies, we know that multiplication, we learned clear back at the beginning of the group or beginning of the year, is just equal groups problems, right? So if I have 9 times 6, that's the same thing as saying 9 groups of 6. So I could draw 9 groups, and I could put 6 in each group. And then I could start adding those up, right? And I could find different ways to add those up. I might add up 3 of them at a time. I might add up 5 of them at a time because then I could do 5 times 6. But I would start adding up all of these 6s, and no matter which way you decide to add them all up, I would come up with 54. Okay, so you might add up 18 and 18 and 18. You might have different ways that you want to do that. Now, you could also turn that around because you know that multiplication has the turnaround rule, and instead of 9 groups of 6, you could do 6 groups of 9. And that might get a little bit quicker to do because we have fewer numbers to add up. So I could do 9 and 9 is 18, another 9 and 9 is 18, and another 9 and 9 is 18, and then again I could add those up. And again I would come up with 54. Okay, so knowing that you could do the turnaround rule, you could pick which one of these equal groups you could do quicker. All right, now you also know that you can represent multiplication with arrays. So I might do 9 rows of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I would have to fill that in, each of those rows with 6, and I'd have to fill all that in. Now I'm going to be very honest with you, drawing arrays for big problems like that, that is not my go-to strategy because it takes a long time, and I don't want to sit here forever drawing X's and making an array. So I'm going to be honest with you, that is not a strategy that I would typically use. Now, the strategy that I really want to look at and focus on today is the helper fact strategy. And we've actually used and talked about the helper fact strategy before. Now, that is when you take problems that you know really well to help you do problems that you might not know so well. So our helper facts, let's think of facts that we know right away. And again, times 2, times 5, and times 10 are those really quick and easy facts. We've been working on them since practically the beginning of the year. Okay, now boys and girls, what would times 2 help you solve? Times 2 could help you solve times 3 problems, couldn't it? I could use times 5 to maybe help me solve anything times 4 or times 6. And I could use times 10 to help me solve anything times 9 or times 11. But we actually have a quick and easy strategy for times 11 already, so we probably wouldn't use times 10 to help us do times 11. Okay, so I need you to be able to identify when you would use helper facts. You would use a helper fact, again, if you have anything times 3, you could use times 2 to help you. If you have anything times 4 or times 6, you could use times 5 to help you. And if you have anything times 9, you could use times 10 to help you. So now going back to our problem of 9 times 6. What helper fact could I use to help me solve that problem? Well, one of the things I could do is I could change the 9 into a 10 instead and do 10 times 6. Now, if I'm going to do 10 times 6, that's easy. It's 60. But what am I going to have to do? Because the problem isn't 10 times 6, the problem is 9 times 6. So that problem's actually going to be smaller, isn't it? So I know I'm going to have to subtract. Now, what am I going to have to subtract? This is where boys and girls get really mixed up sometimes because they're not sure. Should I subtract 9? Should I subtract 10? Should I subtract 6? I see all these numbers in here. What should I subtract? And here's my trick. What number is in both problems? 6, right? That is what I'm subtracting. So 60 minus 6 equals 54. Okay, now I could have also, for 9 times 6, I could have also changed the 6 to a 5. And I could have done 9 times 5. Now I know what 9 times 5 is. That's easy. I can count by 5s and get 45. But my problem isn't 9 times 5. My problem is 9 times 6. That's going to be bigger, isn't it? Because 6 is bigger than 5. So I know I'm going to need to add on. What am I going to need to add on? What number is in both problems? A 9, right? So that's what I'm adding on. 45 plus 9, again, is 54. All right, so boys and girls, right there are several strategies you could have used for finding the answer to 9 times 6. All right, so now let me get here to our workbook page. Why don't you go ahead and turn in your workbook, to page 161. All right, so now let's look at some more problems. Let's look first at the example. So the example is they wanted us to find the answer to 6 times 8. Now 6 times 8, maybe you know it right away, but maybe you don't. What helper fact could I use to help me solve 6 times 8? Again, I'm looking for anything times 2, times 5, or times 10 is easy stuff, right? So what number is close to either 6 or 8? 5, right? So I'm going to change 6 times 8 to 5 times 8. 5 times 8 is 40. Now, what am I going to have to do to find the answer to 6 times 8? That's bigger than 5 times 8, right? So I know that I need to add one more group, and then this is where it gets tricky. Boys and girls never know, should I add another group of 6? Do I add another group of 5? Do I add another group of 8? There's all these numbers. Again, what number is in both problems? 8, right? So I'm going to add a group of 8 to 40 to get 48. So 6 times 8 is 48. All right, let's look at number 1. They wanted you to find the answer to 3 times 7. Now, they already told you the helper fact with this one. They made it a little bit easy on you. And we're going to use the helper fact of 2 times 7. Okay, because 3 and 2 are close together. You know what 2 times 7 is. It's 14. Now, boys and girls, what do I need to do to change it to 3 times 7? Do I need to add a group or do I need to subtract a group? Look at the numbers closely. 3 is bigger than 2, so I need to add a group to get my real answer. Now, what do I need to add a group of? Do I add a group of 3? Do I add a group of 2? Or do I add a group of 7? 7 is in both problems, so I'm going to add a group of 7. So when it says, how can I use it? We're going to say, add a group of 7 to 14. Okay, that's what you're going to do. And so when I add a group of 7 onto 14, what do I have? Again, boys and girls, if I ever go too fast, remember, pause the video and give yourself that time to think and write down your answer. So 3 times 7 would be 21. All right, let's look at number 2. They gave you the problem 4 times 9. I want you to pause the video and come up with a helper fact that's going to be close to 4 times 9. Which factor would be close? Times 2, times 5, or times 10? Choose your helper fact and then decide what you're going to do with that fact. Do the same thing for number 3 and solve 9 times 8. So go ahead and pause the video and do these next 2 problems. All right, I hope you pause the video for real. Let's go ahead and go over them. Now, for 4 times 9, I would have used the helper fact 5 times 9 because 5 is just 1 more than 4. I know that's an easy one. It's 45. Now, what do I need to do? Look at these problems. I did 5 times 9. That's bigger than what I really needed, right? 4 is smaller than 5, so I know I need to subtract a group. And what do I need to subtract a group of? Which number is in both problems? The 9. So I need to subtract a group of 9 from 45. So when you do that, boys and girls, 45 minus 9, you should have gotten the answer of 36. Okay, now when you did 9 times 8, what could you have changed 9 times 8 into? I would have changed the 9 to a 10. 10 times 8 is easy. It's 80. Now what do I need to do to turn it into 9 times 8? I made my problem bigger. 9 is smaller than 10, so I know that I need to subtract a group, right? And what do I need to subtract a group of? Which number is in both problems? I've got an 8 in both problems. So I'm going to subtract a group of 8 from 80, and that gives me an answer of 72. All right, so boys and girls, this is the helper fact strategy. All right, boys and girls, this would be a good time for us to go and do a multiplication fact inventory. If you go to page 298 and 299, you can do a quick inventory check to see which multiplication facts you know right away. Now, both of these pages have your easy helper facts that you should be able to do immediately and automatically. So turn to those 2 pages, go down through. If you know it, just write the answer real quick down through here. If you don't know it, you're just going to put a check mark saying that you don't know it right away. And then I want you to figure out how can you figure that out. Okay, so go ahead on page 298 and 299 and go down through there. If you know it right away, write the answer. If it takes you a few seconds to figure it out and you have to do a trick or a strategy, you need to tell me what you did. Go ahead and pause the video and give yourself a couple of minutes to do that. All right, and then last but not least, we have some more practice pages. So if you could turn in your workbook to page 162. This is just some review with some number stories or word problems. So I want you to go through and I want you to do page 162, pause the video, and then restart the video, and I'll go over them very quickly with you. All right, so this first problem, boys and girls, says Savannah earns $5 selling lemonade. Let's see, Savannah, $5 selling lemonade. Jessica earns double the amount of money that Savannah earns. So how much money do they have together? So I'm putting their money together. Now, I'm going to just start drawing some pictures out here because it just helps me. And if you needed, hopefully, if you needed to do that, they didn't give you a lot of room, but you could have gotten another sheet of paper. But if Savannah, I'm going to label this with an S, she earns $5 selling lemonade. And it says Jessica earns double that amount of money. Now, what does the word double mean? Well, you're going to do that number twice, right? So Jessica would make $10. And it wants to know how much money do they have together. So you needed to put those numbers together. Now, it wanted to know some number models. And so one of the number models I see right away is 5 plus 10 equals 15. But it says number models. And I know, boys and girls, that when I make a number model, I have to use numbers from the problem. Where did I get this 10? Because the problem didn't tell me anything about 10. So first, my brain already did some math, didn't it? I had to double the 5. So first, I did 2 times 5 to get the 10 that Jessica earned. Then I added my 5 plus my 10 to get 15. So my answer is $15. Sometimes it's a little tricky to figure out what number models to use when they're looking for multiple steps. All right, let's look at number 2. It says VJ buys 2 packs of stickers with 8 stickers in each pack. And then he gives away 3 stickers. How many stickers does he have left? So he has 2 packs of stickers with 8 stickers in each pack. But then he gives away 3 stickers. So I know that 3 stickers are going to come out of there, right? How many stickers does he have left? So boys and girls, your number models that you should have used, this was actually a multi-step as well. First, you did 2 groups of 8 to get 16. And then you're going to be doing your subtracting. 16 minus 3 equals 13. So 13 is my answer. I always need to label my unit. How many what? Stickers. So 13 stickers should have been your answer. All right, and then number 3, a baker has 10 kilograms of flour. He uses 2 kilograms to bake muffins. He divides the leftover flour into 4 bags. How many kilograms of flour are in each bag? Whew, lots of going on here. So I'm just going to start drawing a picture. I might need to come down here a little bit. A baker has 10 kilograms of flour. So there's his 10 kilograms of flour. This is flour, okay? Now it says he uses 2 kilograms to bake muffins. So what does he do first? Well, first he uses 2 kilograms. That means he's taking it out, right? So I know I'm going to take out 2 from this. So then he divides the leftover flour into 4 bags. Well, I got to figure out what's left over. So let's go up here to my number models. First, I'm going to start with my 10 kilograms and take out that 2 to see what's left. I've got 8 left over. Now, what am I doing with that leftover? He divides it into 4 bags. So I'm going to make my 4 bags, and I'm going to take that leftover flour and put it in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What did I just do there? I was dividing it up, right? I took 8 kilograms, divided it into 4 bags, and each bag has 2. So my answer is 2, label my unit, to what? How many kilograms of flour? So kilograms, I'm even going to say of flour. Kilograms doesn't tell me a whole lot, does it? All right, and then if you did the try this, I know some of you like to skip out on that. It says George is buying wall-to-wall carpeting for 2 rectangular rooms. One room measures 3 yards by 4 yards. The other room measures 4 yards by 5 yards. How many square yards of carpet does George need to order in all? So he's buying wall-to-wall carpeting, so I know I'm finding the area, right? If I want to cover an area with carpeting. So 2 rooms, so he's got a room that it says is a 3 by 4, and these are yards. He's got another room that's a 4 by 5 yard room. How many yards of carpet does George need in all? Well, boys and girls, we know to find the area, we got to do what? We got to do length times width. So I'm going to do 3 times 4 equals 12 for that room. And then I need to do my length times width for my second room. So I'm going to do 4 times 5 equals 20 for my second room. But then how many yards of carpet does George need to order in all? So for this room, he needs 12, and for the second room, he needs 20. What do I got to do to find in all? Add those numbers together. So 12 plus 20 equals 32. So my answer is 32, but 32 what? How many square yards? So he needs to order 32 square yards. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for lesson. I think we are on 5-4.